Over the past few years, the dieting world has been taken by storm by one of the most popular trends in recent memory, and I wanted to take part. But the keto diet seemed too hard, so I decided to try intermittent fasting instead. Now, when you look at me, you see perfection, you see grace, you see someone with a bit of food on their face, but over the course of lockdown, I had put on some weight, and it was starting to show. So what type of intermittent fasting would I be doing? Well, there's 5-2, where you spend 5 days eating what you usually would, and 2 days being a miserable git. There's alternate day fasting, which means you're a miserable git every other day. Or there was the kind I was going for, the 16-8, where you condense your calorie intake to an 8-hour window, and then you spend the next 16 hours fasting. This is the cutting edge of science. This is the health revolution. I need to completely change my life. This is basically me skipping breakfast, which is huge because I love breakfast. This is how it went.
So it's the first day of intermittent fasting. It's 8:15. We didn't finish eating until 9 last night, which means we're not going to be able to start eating until 1 o'clock today. But that was purposeful. That was what we were hoping to do. So I think our eating window is going to be start eating at 1, finish eating at 9. We kind of went out in style last night. We decided that because it was the last night that we could fully indulge, that we would get into bed early, stick on Louis Theroux, make a hot chocolate with some marshmallows in, and when that was finished, eat some more chocolate. So it was definitely a gluttonous last evening. Weighed myself this morning, however, and I wasn't happy with the scales. It read 15 stone 7, rest of the numbers of what that actually means for Americans and what have you here. But no, so far so good, and we'll see how the challenge goes. Right, so it's 11:47. I've been trying to work all morning and get some bits and bobs done, but I've been distracted all morning by the fact that I'm actually been pretty hungry, and I've been trying to have glasses of water. I'm about to try and have a cup of tea and do things to try and keep the hunger at bay, but I'm actually finding it distracting, and I've been distracted all morning, and my concentration hasn't been where I want it to be. So yeah, it's going to take a little while getting used to this, I think.
That's right, I started making lunch at 12:45 so I could eat the moment it turned 1 o'clock, and I made myself a pretty decent sized portion of scrambled eggs on toast.
Which didn't really last that long.
So what are the rules exactly? I mean, quite simply, eat all my food in an 8-hour window and then wait 16 hours until my next meal. And whilst I was fasting, I was allowed tea, coffee and low-calorie drinks like Diet Coke. There was a lot of debate online as to whether or not it was okay to have a splash of milk in your tea or coffee whilst you were fasting, but the general consensus seemed to be that it was okay as long as it was only a splash.
So it's day 2. I'm 15 hours and 55 minutes into my fast, which means I can actually eat some food in 5 minutes. And I'm in the car today because I'm actually in Norwich, filming a video today with Robbie Knox and Jackmate, which means that last night I actually finished eating half an hour earlier because I knew that I wasn't going to be able to eat at 1 o'clock because that's in the middle of when we're filming. So hopefully I can quickly shove something into my face before I actually meet with them and start filming. I'm currently in the middle of doing 30 days intermittent fasting.
Okay.
This is only my second day. I've not eaten much today. I stuffed a flapjack in my face before I came here.
What, are you doing 16-8?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's a chance that this could send me mental.
Yeah.
Okay, so
is this not going to break your fast?
No, the fast broke just before I saw you.
Oh, okay.
I'm doing 12:30 till 8:30.
I guess you don't want to give too much away, but how are you finding it so far?
It's only day 2, and both mornings I've been starving all morning.
Yeah. I think I've done it before, and I think it does get easier after about 4 or 5 days.
So it is day 4 of intermittent fasting, and I've just come back from a run. I did the run before I broke the fast, and consequently, unsurprisingly, something I should have thought of, the run was a lot harder than usual. So note to self, don't do any exercise before you break the fast, or if you do, I don't know, try not to go for a really long run. I have no idea, but yeah, that was a mistake.
I forgot how dramatic I can be sometimes. I was fine. So what's the science behind intermittent fasting? Well, intermittent fasting is about eating what you normally would but in a smaller window. But naturally, if you're eating in a smaller window, you're likely to consume less calories. So there's that. But there's also evidence to suggest that if you fast for 10 to 12 hours, your body starts to burn ketones. Basically, fasting allows your body to use its energy stores, fat. There's some other benefits like reduced insulin resistance, more energy, and some evidence to suggest that it may prevent certain cancers and Alzheimer's. But for me, it's just about losing weight. It is day 6 of intermittent fasting, and I am not a scientist, but this experiment is yielding some very interesting results. So it turns out if you wake up in the morning and you usually eat, and then you stop eating at the time you usually eat, you end up hungry, which I thought was a very surprising outcome to this experiment. But what I have started to notice is happening is that as the day goes on and as I get closer to the time when the fast is meant to end, that hunger disappears to the point that when the fast actually ends, I'm kind of just ready for food, but I'm not desperately reaching for it the moment that the clock ticks over to the time when I can eat. So that's kind of nice, I guess. But yeah, science has shown that if you don't eat breakfast and you usually eat breakfast, you end up a bit hungry. So it turns out not only am I dramatic, but I'm also a sarcastic arse. Day 10 of intermittent fasting, and this is very much like the other challenges, whereby the 10th day I'm pretty much in the groove. I'm pretty used to the routine, which isn't to say that I don't wake up hungry and I have to stop myself eating things sometimes, but otherwise it's not really that tricky. I just stop eating around 8:39 in the evening and start again around 12:31, depending on what I've done the night before. So I'm still only eating my food within an 8-hour window. I'm always making sure that I'm fasting for 16 hours and yeah, pretty much in the groove. I suppose the one thing that I have noticed is that I am sleeping a lot more. I'm going to bed earlier, and when I wake up in the morning, I'm a lot tireder than I would normally expect to be. So yeah, I do seem to need more sleep, but that could be just as much to do with the seasons changing and the nights getting longer. So maybe my body clock is just a bit messed up from that. So I don't want to say it's entirely that, but yeah, I am more tired. That's how I roll. It is day 15 of being a full-blown IFer, and I am now a full-blown IFer. Not only am I finding this relatively easy, but I just stepped on the scales and I was hoping to see a bit of weight loss, but I was quite surprised with how much weight loss I actually saw, enough so that I thought it was worth making an entry into the video for. I won't reveal how much it is, I'll wait till the end of the video, because I want to see how much I lose over 30 days, but yeah, I was very surprised. Not experiencing the boost in energy that some people say that you feel from doing intermittent fasting. For me, it's purely about weight loss, and that means that maybe this isn't appropriate for some people. You know, some people don't want to lose weight and some people even want to put weight on. So maybe not appropriate for everyone, but for me, this has been great. Let's go. The fact that I'd lost weight was fairly significant because I hadn't drastically changed my diet. I was still eating a lot of crap like nachos, pizza, chocolate, and drinking beer. I definitely was snacking less, but I hadn't purposefully cut anything out of my diet, so I was pretty happy with the fact that I'd lost weight. Do you remember when I was doing the caffeine challenge and I said this? Because I just missed the ritual. Well, it turns out I'm a creature of habit, because that is probably one of the most difficult things about doing this challenge. I miss the ritual of breakfast, so now I'm allowed to have coffee, but I can't have breakfast, so I suppose eventually I'll have a normal morning, but yeah, gotta wait till this challenge is over. So it is day 25 of intermittent fasting, and I've made a bit of a mistake this morning. I'm about to meet Max Foch to film, which is awesome, and I'm sure by the time this video comes out, hopefully you've already seen the video we're about to film. But I completely forgot about fasting, and I haven't got any food with me. So this is going to end up being sort of like an 18-hour fast, because I just didn't plan for it, didn't prepare for it. So yeah, regrets. I'm currently intermittent fasting.
Are you?
For another video. I've now broken the fast with a
cold can of pussy.
Mate, you shouldn't have. That's not a reason you should break your fast for.
No, that's quite upsetting, isn't it?
That's right, the first calories I consumed after a fast on not one, not two, but 3 occasions was an ice cold can of pussy. And if that doesn't secure the sponsorship, I don't know what will. So it's day 27, and this morning we met up with Charlie's dad, and the only time he was available was around breakfast time. So we went to this lovely Italian restaurant where the plan was to have breakfast, but obviously intermittent fasting means no breakfast. And this was easily the closest that I came to failing this challenge. But I managed to not actually have any breakfast, and not only that, just have a cup of coffee and sit there whilst other people eat breakfast. Now, in my walking video, I talked about the importance of having a goal, and I have to say that if I didn't have a 30-day challenge, I would have definitely had breakfast there. Now, not that there's anything wrong with that. I think you should allow yourself a break like this every now and again, but once again it's highlighted to me the importance of having a goal, and by having a goal and having a target that you're hoping to reach, you actually push yourself beyond what you normally would. So yeah, that's a thing, although maybe I'm looking too much into it. I just didn't have breakfast. Dramatic, sarcastic, and now preachy. The perfect trifecta of a wannabe YouTuber. So it's the 30th day of intermittent fasting, and I've been reflecting today on how hard I found the challenge, and in all honesty, skipping breakfast, it's not that tricky. I mean, there were a few days early on where I struggled to get through to lunch. There've been a couple of evenings where I've missed a snack late on, and a couple of mornings where I missed the routine. And there've been a couple of days where it's been tricky trying to figure out, you know, if I'm meeting someone in the evening, maybe I don't have my lunch until a bit later so that the fast ends later. So there've been a few days where I've had to like fast a little bit longer to make the window of eating fit into when I need it to fit. But overall, it's not been too hard. But I have lost weight. So of all the challenges I've done so far, this one has maybe been the most beneficial, and it's also the one that I'm maybe most likely to keep up. I know now you're probably just thinking, okay, but how much weight have you lost? So I guess I'll jump to... So that's 6 pounds lost, which is insane, and I haven't figured out the numbers, so that's these numbers if you're, you know, from somewhere that's not the UK. Yeah, I kind of can't believe that. There's a good chance I might keep this up. So it's 7 days after the challenge is finished, and I have done something for the first time during these 30-day challenges I've been doing, and I have kept the challenge going. I am still intermittent fasting, and I weighed myself this morning and I'd lost another pound. I was down to 15 stone, and once again, that's without drastically changing my diet. I will admit that I am exercising a bit more than usual at the moment, but otherwise this has been fairly easy and fairly straightforward. I am now a full-blown IFer, which I really didn't think I would say at the beginning of this challenge. I'm still going to have things like breakfast every now and again. I'm going to be a bit more lenient with myself and break the fast every so often for a bit of a treat, but I now like my new morning routine. I have now got used to the routine of not having breakfast, so yeah, why not keep it up? And I think that's a good place to end the video. So if you like the video, give it a like. If you dislike it, then dislike it. Subscribe if you haven't already. And of course, until next time, please, 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 piss off.
The boy John, the boy John, the boy John.